Okay, so someone makes you president of Real Madrid tomorrow. 93,000 socios cast their votes, and somehow they choose you. The crest, the stadium, 15 Champions League trophies, the most decorated football institution on earth. Forbes values the club at 6.6 billion euros, the most valuable football club on the planet. It has topped the Deloitte Football Money League in 20 of its 25 editions. So, can you actually afford to run this thing? The honest answer is maybe, depending on decisions that have nearly bankrupted clubs 10 times this size. Your fiercest rival accumulated 1.35 billion euros in debt, the largest in football history. Valencia's new stadium has been an abandoned concrete skeleton since 2009, 300 million euros of nothing. And yet Real Madrid just posted record revenue, again, for the fourth consecutive year. The difference between those outcomes is not trophies, it is not even talent. It is structure, and the structure of a socio-owned superclub is almost nothing like what fans imagine. Here is what it actually looks like from the inside. Because the first thing to understand is that nobody owns Real Madrid. Not a billionaire, not a fund, not a government. 93,000 members own it, each one paying about 150 euros a year for the privilege. There are no shareholders, no IPO, no sale. Spanish law requires 4 clubs to remain member-owned: Real Madrid, Barcelona, Athletic Bilbao, and Osasuna. The president must personally guarantee 15% of the annual budget, from their own pocket. 15% of a 900 million euro budget is 135 million, your personal guarantee. And you must have been a socio for at least 20 years. This is not a job you can buy into overnight. Florentino Perez has held the presidency for 22 of the last 24 years, elected, re-elected, uncontested. Now, the machine he runs has 3 revenue legs, and the balance between them is everything. Commercial revenue, 400 million euros. Kit deals, shirt sponsors, licensing, the brand as a product. Broadcast, 280 million. Domestic La Liga rights, plus UEFA's Champions League pool. Match day, 200 million. Tickets, hospitality, food, parking, every single seat, every single event. Add them together, 880 million euros flowing in every year before you sign a single player. And unlike Manchester City or PSG, there is no sugar daddy, no sovereign wealth fund, no capital injection, just revenue. Every single euro the club spends must first be earned. That is the constraint and the discipline. Because getting to the top of this institution is its own economics. The ladder has no shortcuts. No amount of money lets you skip the queue. The electoral board will verify your guarantee, your solvency, your 20-year membership, then publish it. Then you campaign to 93,000 voters who care about one thing: winning. Elections happen every 4 years. Miss your window and you wait another cycle, or forever. And if the club loses money under your watch, that personal guarantee is not symbolic. You pay. Ramon Calderón lasted 3 years. The socios forced him out. The crowd does not forgive. But here is the flip side. No one can leverage your club. No one can load it with acquisition debt. The model is the shield. Now you are president. You have a squad and a transfer window that opens in 45 days. The transfer fee is never the real cost. It is never even close. Eden Hazard, transfer fee, 115 million. Agent fees, signing bonus, 5 years of wages. The total package was 225 million euros. He played 76 games in 5 seasons. Cost per appearance, roughly 3 million euros. Cristiano Ronaldo, 94 million euro fee. Estimated revenue generated over 9 seasons, more than 1 billion. The transfer market is a casino, and the house edge is enormous. About 1 in 3 marquee signings worldwide fails to recoup its cost. Summer 2019, Madrid spent €303 million in a single window. Hazard, Jovic, Mendy, Militao, Rodrigo. The total hit to the books over those contracts, north of €600 million. Agent commissions run 10 to 20% of the deal value. On a €100 million transfer, that is 10 to 20 million euros that leave the sport entirely. And the fee is not expensed at once. It is amortized over the contract. A €100 million signing on a 5-year deal burns €20 million a year on the books, every year, whether he plays or not. Even free transfers are never free. Mbappé cost zero in fees, but signing bonuses, agent commissions, and a reported net salary above €30 million per year. Free is a marketing term. So where does the money come from when you need to build something truly enormous? The new Santiago Bernabéu, €1.75 billion, the most expensive stadium renovation in history. Financed with a 30-year loan at 2.5% interest, locked in before rates climbed. That timing alone saved hundreds of millions. Annual debt service, €29 million, on a club generating nearly €900 million in revenue. That is 3% of income. Tottenham sold their naming rights for €350 million. The Bernabéu has not sold theirs. That card is still in the pocket. The bet is different. Turn the stadium into a 365-day-a-year venue, not 25 match days, every single day. A single concert at the new Bernabéu can gross 5 to 7 million euros in one night. Taylor Swift played 2. That is up to 14 million euros in 48 hours. The club projects 150 million euros per year in new non-football revenue from the renovated venue. Concerts, conferences, restaurants, retail, a hotel. That alone covers the loan 5 times over. 150 minus 29 equals 121 million in net new income, if the projection holds. Now look at what they actually built, because the scale is unlike anything football has attempted. The pitch retracts. The entire playing surface slides on rails into an underground garage, 70,000 square meters of infrastructure beneath. A retractable metallic roof wraps the entire bowl, 22,000 tons of steel. Concerts need weatherproofing. Football needs open sky. One building does both. A 360-degree LED video skin covering 13,000 square meters of the facade and interior. The largest integrated screen in any stadium on Earth. 4,600 new VIP and premium seats. Hospitality revenue per seat can be 50 times a standard ticket. Total capacity rises from 81,000 to 85,000. Every new seat is premium. 6 years of construction, through a pandemic, while playing home matches inside the renovation zone. Not a single home game moved to another venue. They built it around the players. Night construction shifts, temporary walls, modular phases. The operational complexity alone added hundreds of millions. Below the visible, new HVAC for a sealed bowl, redundant power at concert venue scale, fiber optic connectivity for every seat, kitchens for 15 restaurants. The original scope in 2014 was $575 million. The final cost, 3 times that. Scope creep, inflation, pandemic delays, and ambition. And it is still cheaper than SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, which cost $5.5 billion. Context matters. Now the building exists, the players exist, and every single day, the burn rate is relentless. Total staff wages, €550 million per year. Players, coaches, medical team, academy, groundskeepers, executives, scouts. 800 people on payroll. That is €1.5 million per day. Weekends, holidays, the off-season. The meter never stops. The highest earner takes home 30 million net. In Spain, that means the club pays 55 million gross after tax obligations. One player, 1 year. 60-plus matches per season across 3 continents, charter flights, hotels, security details, pre-season tours in Asia and America that cost millions but feed the commercial machine. Pitch maintenance alone, 3 million per year. Hybrid grass systems, undersoil heating, grow lights, a full-time agronomy team. Medical and sports science, 20 million. MRI machines, cryotherapy, GPS tracking, nutritionists, psychologists. One prevented injury on a 50 million euro player pays for the department. The youth academy, La Fabrica, 40 million euros annually. 300 young players. Most will never make the first team. The ones who do are worth billions in saved transfer fees. Every home match requires 3,000 temporary staff, security, stewards, catering, medical, broadcast support. That is before a single fan sits down. Electricity, water, waste management, stadium operations, 15 million per year. The retractable roof alone adds a megawatt of peak draw. A scouting network spanning 40 countries, full-time scouts, data analysts, video specialists, finding the next Vinicius before anyone else does. Add every line item: wages, amortization, operations, academy, travel, legal, insurance, marketing, IT. Total operating expenditure, 750 million euros per year. 880 minus 750. The operating margin is 130 million. On nearly $1 billion in revenue, that is a 15% margin. Razor thin for the risks involved. There is one number that governs everything: the wage-to-revenue ratio. La Liga enforces a salary cap. No club may spend more than 70% of its relevant revenue on wages. Not a suggestion, a hard limit. Real Madrid sits at 63%, comfortably under. Barcelona, at their crisis peak, 85%. They could not register new signings. Exceed the cap, and the league locks you out. You cannot register new players. You cannot renew contracts. You are frozen. Then there is UEFA. Financial fair play looks at a 3-year rolling window. One disastrous season poisons 2 years of future flexibility. Punishments escalate: fines, transfer bans, squad size limits, points deductions, and at the extreme, exclusion from European competition entirely. Manchester City faced 115 charges. The tribunal cleared most, but the precedent is clear. The system has teeth. Madrid's 7-point buffer below the cap is not an accident. It is strategy. It means you can absorb a revenue shock without tripping the wire. Here is the trap, and every president learns it eventually. Your costs are fixed. Wages are contractual. Debt service is contractual. Operating costs are structural, but your revenue depends on one tournament. Champions League participation and progression is worth approximately 130 million euros per season. Win it, and the total can exceed 170. Get knocked out in the round of 16 instead of reaching the final? That is an 80 million euro swing. On one tie, 2 legs, 180 minutes. Miss the Champions League entirely, and you lose 130 million in revenue, but the wage bill does not drop by a single euro. COVID proved it. Revenue dropped 25% in 2020. Wages barely moved. The club posted losses for the first time in a decade. And player contracts outlive performance. A star signs for 5 years. If his level drops in year 2, you still owe year 3, 4, and 5. An aging squad on peak wages is the death spiral. Performance declines, results slip, revenue drops, but the wage bill is locked. Miss Champions League once, and sponsors renegotiate. Miss it twice, and star players leave. The doom loop is real. It happened here, 2004 to 2006, 3 consecutive early eliminations. Revenue stalled. The Galacticos era imploded on its own economics. Recovery takes 3 years minimum, 1 year to restructure, 1 year to rebuild, 1 year to prove it works, and the socios are not patient. Because when it goes wrong at a super club, it goes catastrophically wrong, and the wreckage takes a generation to clear. Barcelona, the closest comparison, 1.35 billion euros in debt by 2021, the most indebted sports institution in recorded history. Wage-to-revenue ratio, 110%. They were paying out more in wages alone than they earned. Technically insolvent. They could not register Lionel Messi, the greatest player in their history, left because the numbers physically did not fit under the salary cap. Barcelona sold 25% of their domestic TV rights for 25 years. Future revenue sacrificed for today's liquidity. They call them economic levers. Accountants call them desperation. From Champions League treble winners to existential crisis in 6 years, overspending, deferred bonuses, renewal after renewal at inflated wages, the margin collapsed. Valencia. Peter Lim bought the club in 2014, promised investment. Instead, 500 million in debt, a half-built stadium since 2009, 3 relegation battles and fan protests every match day. Malaga. Champions League quarter-finalists in 2012, relegated to the 3rd division by 2020. Owner lost interest. Revenue evaporated. The squad dissolved. AC Milan. 7 Champions League titles, then a lost decade, sold to a hedge fund, then a private equity firm. Debts cleared, but competitiveness destroyed for a generation. Manchester United. The Glazer family loaded £800 million of acquisition debt onto the club. Interest payments that could have been signings. A decade of decline funded the buyout. This is exactly what the socio model prevents. No one can load acquisition debt onto Real Madrid. No one can extract dividends. The club's revenue stays in the club. But the model does not prevent mismanagement. It prevents external extraction. A president can still overspend, still overbuild, still chase vanity. The socios are the only check. And here is the part nobody discusses. There is no exit, no liquidity event, no sale. Jerry Jones can sell the Cowboys for $13 billion and walk away rich. You walk away with a handshake and a Wikipedia page. Your exits are legacy or liability. Build something extraordinary, and history remembers. Bankrupt the institution, and you personally owe. Perez built the modern Bernabéu, twice. First the Galacticos brand, then the physical stadium. That is his exit, the institution itself. The institution outlives every president. That is the design. No one person is bigger than the crest. The economics must survive any individual. 120 years, 14 presidents, civil wars, dictatorships, financial crises. The crest endures because no one can sell it. But when it works, when the economics line up and the football follows, the upside is unlike anything in sport. 5 consecutive years of record revenue, not because of luck, because the 3 legs grew simultaneously while costs stayed disciplined. 6 Champions League titles in 10 seasons, each one worth over 100 million in direct prize money, plus the incalculable brand premium. 600 million social media followers, the most followed sports entity on earth. Every follower is a potential customer, sponsor touchpoint, or broadcast viewer. Adidas pays 120 million per year for the kit deal. Emirates pays 70 million for the shirt. 2 contracts, 190 million, for permission to put a logo on fabric. Vinicius Jr. signed from Flamengo's academy at 16 for 45 million, now worth over 200 million on the open market. Rodrigo, Camavinga, Valverde, each one a transfer fee never spent. 15 Champions Leagues, 36 La Liga titles. The trophy count is not vanity, it is the engine. Winning generates revenue that funds more winning. 99.2% occupancy across all home matches. Season ticket waiting list, over 60,000 names. Demand exceeds supply at every price tier. The trajectory is €1 billion in annual revenue by 2027. No football club has ever reached that threshold. Madrid is on pace to be first. And the Bernabéu loan is the only structural debt. No acquisition debt, no junk bonds, no deferred player payments spiraling. The trajectory is clear. Now turn one dial. Miss the Champions League. Revenue drops from 880 to 750. Costs stay at 750. Margin, 0. One season, one bad draw. Now a star requests a transfer. You save on wages, but you lose shirt sales, commercial appeal, broadcast attention. The revenue drop exceeds the wage saving. Major sponsors have Champions League clauses. Miss it, and contractual payments drop by up to 30 million automatically. Even the stadium events follow brand heat. Promoters want the Champions League finalist, not the Europa League participant. The Bernabéu's event revenue is correlated to the team's prestige. Same stadium, same wage bill, same debt, same president. One scenario makes 130 million, the other loses 50. That is the sensitivity. That is the knife edge. And unlike a private owner who can inject capital, the socio model has no rescue button. Revenue must cover costs, or the guarantee is called. Every year. So what separates the clubs that compound from the ones that collapse? 4 things. Ownership structure. The socio model prevents extraction. No leveraged buyout. No dividend leakage. Every euro reinvested. Wage discipline. Stay under the cap with headroom. Say no to contracts that break the structure, even when the fans demand otherwise. Revenue diversification. No single leg over 50%. The stadium is the hedge against broadcast disruption. Commercial deals hedge matchday risk. Balance. Institutional continuity. The academy pipeline. The scouting DNA. The commercial playbook. Systems that outlive any single manager, player, or president. It distills to one equation. Earn more than you spend. Spend only what you earn. Repeat it for 120 years. That is the entire model. Win generates revenue. Revenue funds investment. Investment enables winning. The virtuous cycle. Break any link, and the whole thing stalls. So, you are president. You know what it costs. You know what it earns. You know how thin the margin is. The crest was here before you, and it will be here long after. Your only job is to make sure the economics let that happen.